I'm Eric Parker. This morning on CT 22, why the $73 million settlement between Sandy Hook families and gunmaker Remington is about much more than money. Attorney Josh Koskoff joins us. Plus, Hartford superintendent of schools is talking about how her team is tackling the problem of chronic absenteeism with students. And a new political party will be putting forward candidates for some of our state's most important offices, including governor. We're learning about the goals of the Griebel-Frank for CT party. And after a forced break due to COVID, St. Patrick's Day parades are back. We'll hear about how two of the big parades in our state that will be stepping off next month are getting ready for the first time in 3 years. It's all ahead this Sunday, February the 20th. CT 22 starts right now.
From WFSB, this is CT 22 with Eric Parker, sponsored by Hartford Healthcare.
Good morning and thanks for being with us. Last Tuesday, Josh Koskoff, the lawyer for 9 families whose loved ones died in the Sandy Hook attack, announced a $73 million settlement with the gunmaker Remington, the company that manufactured the AR-15 style rifle used in the killings. Attorney Josh Koskoff is joining us this morning. Josh, thank you for being with us. What does this settlement mean to those families?
Well, for the families, it means they've achieved all of the goals that they had for the case itself. Of course, it falls far short of what true justice would be in this situation, which is, of course, unobtainable, which would be to reverse time, and have their loved ones back. But as far as the case goes, they've checked the boxes they wanted to check, and hope that it has the impact that they hope it does.
You know, you mentioned that about true justice, and I know, my real job is practicing law. When I talk to my clients, they often say that, well, this is just a number. It doesn't provide real justice. This is a big number, and I think human nature is to take that number and know you represent 9 families and start dividing by 9. But
Sure.
Do you think there's some other message you want to take? Because it's a huge amount of money, but also so insignificant at the same time.
It is. If you look at it from the point of view of compensating the families, it's in a sense, in this case, the wrong point of view to measure its value, right? Because yes, it's a big number in an aggregate, but I think a lot of the complaints that I've heard about the settlement is really that they should have settled for $1 billion or $2 billion. People are criticizing the settlement for being not enough. That was the settlement represented the entirety of the money that was possibly available. But in this case, the family's goal was not money at all, but it was money in the sense that it's money that talks in industry. And their goal was to help do whatever they can to prevent the next Sandy Hook. This is an industry that's not going to listen to their stories of heartbreak. They're going to look at the result, and they're going to realize, hey, this is something they don't want to change, but they're going to have to change. And to achieve that goal of preventing the next Sandy Hook, they knew they had to get all the money available to make their point.
I know you've heard every argument, probably from counsel on the other side of your case, but just in the general public, we posted this story on our WFSB Facebook page, and a lot of the comments, just whatever they talked about ideologically, came from the same perspective that how do you hold the manufacturer of a product liable for a user's end use of it? That's the whole gun control debate in a nutshell. What do you say to those people who say this was a bad actor, not a bad product?
Well, the gun, the fact that it's a product, that it's a gun, throws people off, because it brings into all these other issues that we have about guns, the political issue, the Second Amendment, the fact that we know that guns are animated by human beings. But the expression "people kill people, not guns." People animate every inanimate product. So whether it's a baseball bat or a gun or a toaster, those products don't run themselves. They always involve human interactions. And what I say to these people is, look, this is a weapon or a firearm that had been around for 40 years. We didn't have a problem with this firearm, even though some might say it shouldn't be available to the public. It has been available to the public for a really long time, and it had a small niche kind of interest, people who were naturally gravitated towards it. But the market was stable in a small number, and then it exploded. Why? One reason: the marketing changed. And instead of just attracting responsible buyers who felt there's some need for this particular weapon, it started to be pushed as a weapon that could be a substitute for masculinity, and targeting a young, risky demographic, teenagers and young adults, with a message that promoted not unlawful activity, frankly, crime, murder, assault. So if they did that with a car, all the people who are emotional about the gun issue on either side would have an easier time seeing that it's just wrong, and wouldn't feel as much of a personal investment. They would just say, wow, that's terrible. And not only that, Eric, they didn't do it for any other reason by their own admission, but to make $1 billion. The real responsibility for this doesn't even fall per se on a traditional gun company, but it was really started by a private equity firm in Midtown Manhattan. And so I think if the people who make these arguments, especially if they're coming from a strong Second Amendment or gun perspective, would be horrified to learn that rich private investment equity firm in Midtown Manhattan basically was trying to take as much money as they could from their customers, didn't treat the employees of these 4 brands very well, and also ended up making a cheaper product so that they could increase their profit margin. You just have to put the whole thing in perspective. I get the initial argument, but it doesn't really apply.
We only have about 30 seconds left. I just want you to talk about what's next, because I know there's a lot of marketing materials still to be released. Stay tuned for that.
Yeah, well, I think that people understandably want to see those, and the families want to share those. The families need to sort of land after this event. They need to decompress, and then they're going to get back up, and we're going to work on that part of the case.
All right. Well, there's the money piece, and then there's sort of the pulling back the curtain on how it all happened. We appreciate you being with us, Josh Koskoff from Koskoff and Beater. A big result this week and more to come. Thanks for being with us here on CT22.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it.